All right, eclectic gentleman. Solo episode. Well, it's not really solo. What do you call an episode where we don't have a guest? A non-guest episode.
A non-guest episode.
Yeah. Like, oh, we're recording solo today. Guestless.
So it's an NGE.
An non-guest episode. Welcome to another NGE.
I like it. I moved the pillows. I got to get my pillows back.
Oh, yeah, you need your fucking pillows.
Well, it's the 4th of July, and we've been hanging out working on improving our podcast all day. Did a cold plunge, probably around noon. No, about 2:30.
The cold plunge was good, man. The cold plunge hit just right.
Yeah, I haven't had one in a while.
What do we have it at? 50-some degrees?
50 degrees.
I was pulling up the Apple note of things we wanted to talk about the next time we saw one another. You had some stuff in there, right?
I think we put them in two different notes. You wanted to talk about the Madela Effect, or is that another podcast, future podcast that we're going to do?
Well, I ended up, I'm like, all right, I'm going to look into the Madela Effect. And I ended up going like deep into the Madela Effect. I watched a 90-minute movie on YouTube on the Madela Effect. And I wanted to see some that like, because we all know the usual Mandela effects, right? The Berenstain Bears and...
Well, explain it with the verbiage we're using, the Mandela Effect.
It's basically a collective false memory that people have.
But why is it named after him? What's his false memory?
Who?
Mandela.
Who's that? I don't know who you're talking about.
The image that you sent me is of Mandela.
Who?
The Mandela Effect is named after a person.
What would you do right now if you're the only person in the world who knew who Nelson Mandela was? Do you remember Nelson Mandela dying?
Well, see, that's the whole premise, right? Did he die in jail or did he get out? Is he still alive or is he dead?
Well, he's dead now. He died again.
People thought he died in captivity.
Right, in the 80s.
Yeah, and he didn't.
And he didn't. But do you remember him dying in the 80s or no?
Yeah, I kind of do.
I kind of do. But he did not die. He got out of jail and became the president of South Africa.
More proof that we are in
a simulation.
A simulation, and we come around and around. Deja vu. I think they described it perfectly in the Matrix movie. It's just a glitch in the Matrix.
Well, I had to look up the first mention ever of the Mandela Effect. Because, like, all of a sudden, everybody was talking about it. And it all goes back to a blogger. And I think in 2012, she gave a speech at some convention. And she coined the term. And that, it just kind of, like, took off from there.
Is that when they changed our past memories? Is that when they changed the simulation to update it so that they could... Is that when it happened? And then she was their way of like getting everyone to accept it?
I think the theory is that happened in like 1999. There is some specific time and date that people say this is when it all shifted. But I'm not sure what caused it to shift.
Well, I definitely remember the was it cornucopia?
Yes.
I definitely remember that.
The cornucopia on the Fruit of the Loom logo.
Yes, definitely it was a thing. There's no doubt about it in my mind. I think the corporation is full of liars.
You know, on the corporation has Fruit of the Loom. You go to their website and you go to their FAQ. and they have an official statement that we have never had a cornucopia on our logo. And they go back to like, I think 1913 or something. And they have examples of their logo without a cornucopia.
Right. And then you also saw a recent post lately where this guy's in some other country and he's walking down the street and they've got a big sign up on the store and it's got the cornucopia on it.
Well, there's all kinds of like images you can pull up of clothing with that logo in it, but this is why AI is fucking awful, because it's fucking with everything.
The only non-simulation theory I can think of is there's always been these gray markets out there. You know what a gray market is, right?
You mean unofficial shit?
Yeah, like let's say that there's something that's molded, right? And you've got a plastic mold for this toy or whatever.
Right.
And that same molding company keeps it running after they say they've turned it off.
Yeah, get a little something on the
So
side.
we made 10,000 of these or 1 million of these parts for you, the real company. And then we made another 1 million of them for the gray market.
Right.
Right? And so the only reasonable thing I can think of is a lot of the official underwear my mom was buying for me with the cornucopia in it was a gray market version of their underwear.
So you think there actually was a cornucopia?
Oh, there
on
absolutely was. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah?
Because I have no reason to remember that. There's no way it was planted in my head. You know, there was definitely a cornucopia. So thank God I didn't keep any of that underwear to prove it, because it would be very old and very small.
Well, if you did have that underwear, that would be referred to as an artifact. So there's something called artifacts, and that is basically evidence of a Mandela effect.
Yeah.
So for a lot of different Mandela effects, there are different artifacts associated with them. Proof, but people fake the hell out of artifacts. So, and especially now with AI, people are coming up with pictures of t-shirts with the logo in the back that's all faded and worn, and it's got the cornucopia on it. So
yeah, I don't think anybody would believe it if they were standing in the same room with an actual garment with it on a tag, and it definitely wouldn't be printed on the shirt because they didn't do that back then. Everything was tagged.
right.
Fruit of the Loom.
So while I was doing all this research on the Mandela effect, one really stuck with me that your same experience with Fruit of the Loom, I have an experience with this one, and this is the James Bond Moonraker Mandela effect. Do you know what that one is?
Remind me, I do, but I can't pull it out of my head right now.
Okay, Moonraker, 1979. There's a scene at the end. Do you remember the villain in Moonraker? It was Jaws.
Yeah.
Big, like, hulking dude.
Yeah.
And he had all the metal in his mouth, right?
He had metal teeth.
He had metal teeth.
Because he bit through the cable with his teeth.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that was his whole thing.
Right.
And
the little girl with braces, and then he smiles back at her.
Yep.
With all his big metal teeth. She had glasses on.
Yeah, her name is Dolly.
Dolly. Makes sense.
So there's a scene.
She was a dolly compared to him.
There's a scene in the end of the movie. Some debris has fallen on him and he's trapped underneath, and she helps pull it off. And then they lock eyes and he smiles with his big mouth of metal, and she smiles back with her braces.
Mm-hmm.
Only she never had braces.
Yeah, well, she did.
I would go to Errol's Video on Route 40, and my dad really got me into watching James Bond. He's like, get these, you'll love them. And I rented James Bond movie after James Bond movie, and probably rented Moonraker more than once. And the whole joke of the whole scene, the whole thing that makes that whole scene work, is that she's got braces too.
Yeah.
And that's why they fall in love and then they walk off together.
Yeah, yeah.
She does not have braces, man.
You can't believe the internet, man.
What even makes this weirder, in 1979, this guy, this is an actual review when the movie came out, and he refers to her having braces. This is not a fake review at all. Like, this guy was an actual entertainment reporter for whatever magazine. So it says, the love affair is pretty funny. He meets this girl, gives her his aluminum smile, and she smiles back. And you can call her braces galore. So this is an example of like residue where that guy remembers that and wrote about it. And the thing is, the reviewer made a mistake. There's no way the guy made a mistake.
Well, I think what they're also saying too is that he planted a fake memory for everybody to remember. But I remember her being dressed differently too.
Yeah?
And not being quite so beautiful.
Here's another example of residue. This is many years later. There he is. Joke is he's a big dude and the credit card's small. But watch when he walks away. Now she smiles and she's got the braces too, which is a nod to the original movie. It's so weird.
Who is that guy again?
His name's Richard Keel. That was Jaws. He's a big dude. So your Mandela Effect, you think Dolly wasn't as hot as that?
I don't remember. I thought she had thicker glasses, but it's been a long time since I watched that movie.
It's been a long time, but she definitely had braces.
And I was 9.
So people swear that they watched the movie in 2016 and that she had braces. So people are checking their old copies and everybody's like, she's got braces, she got braces. There is nothing. And then to confuse the matter, there's a video floating around on the internet where someone has put braces in to the actual footage. This girl said, I had big braces like Dolly's when I first saw Moonraker, and I was self-conscious of them. And I resented the idea that in my kid mind, I would only be able to attract Jaws-like boyfriends. That narrative stuck with me for years. There's no explaining why I would have felt that way if Dolly never had braces.
Yeah, I don't think everybody's misremembering. I think the only explanation that makes any sense is the weirdest one and the most entertaining. We're in a simulation, and it keeps glitching.
Yeah, and it's weird, like little things like that glitch. I mean, do you think bigger things glitch too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Like what? What's a big glitch? Because this is a pretty small detail in the scheme of things.
I don't know.
Like, do you think that whole story about, like, that whole crazy book that was written in the 1800s about Donald Trump and everything, you know that whole story?
Yeah, I do.
And his son, Barron Trump, it's like the incredible thing. And, like,
Yeah.
that's pretty fucking weird.
And Donald Trump's a time traveler, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like it's all kind of, like, intertwined and interconnected. But I don't know, man. I would like hardcore proof in my lifetime. I'd be happy. I'm fine being in a simulation. I really don't care. But just let me know I'm in a simulation.
I just don't want to be an NPC.
Yeah.
Either that or I want to be the terminally happy NPC.
Well, you could be.
I don't know that I am.
You could be. You're a happy guy. You got a lot to be happy about. As far as NPC goes, there's a lot shittier NPCs out there than you.